welcome again. It's good to have everybody here. We've got a good little meeting tonight. Should be able to get through it in an hour or so. First item on our agenda, though, is the beer board. And we have an application for an on-premise beer permit for a beer license for East Tennessee Hemp Company, 107 East Main Street, Jonesborough, Tennessee. Is there anyone here to speak to that? DW, you want to tell us what you got going on?
Hello, I'm D.W. Cooper, reside at 109 East Main Street, Jonesborough, Tennessee. Since the Barrel House, of course, had the unfortunate falling, we had decided to start doing food, and with that, decided to offer drinks as well. I think it'd be a good little nightlife thing for us to do.
One thing you've done too, I think you've got live music on Friday. It's been really good music. And then what? I haven't had a chance to see the
Comedy
show
on Saturdays, and we will stop the music on Fridays when Music on the Square starts back up. So that's not a question.
Yeah. Very good. And the barbecue's good there. I've had it several times.
Thank you.
All right, Alderman, you see the recommendation there to approve the on-premise beer permit. Anyone got any questions or comments?
Mayor, I do want to add that there's some still outstanding background checks for whether it be employees or the application. So that's the only thing that is outstanding. So if the board were to go ahead and approve it, it would be on condition that as soon as the background check comes in, that it would go. I would send it directly to our town attorney, Mr. Wheeler, and make sure that it's validated, and that would be the last step. Just want to make sure that that's done correctly.
I'll move to approve with those conditions.
I'll second.
Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine, a second from Alderman Wolf. Any other comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Claremont.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Causey. Alderman Dixon.
Aye. All right, motion carried. Cooper, we appreciate you all, stepping up and offering that. It's
Yes.
good addition downtown. All right, now we'll move into our regular meeting. And the first item on our agenda is our opening prayer. Vice Mayor Adam Dixon, please.
Let us all pray. God, we thank you for this day that you have allowed us to see. We're told that in all things we need to give thanks. And so, God, we want to be obedient and be mindful of thanks unto you from whom our blessings flow. God, as we live this life, there's hardship and pain and toil and strife, and sometimes have to ask ourselves, why would we even need to be thankful? And then we think about the book of Lamentations, where there's so much strife going on, but like the 3rd chapter of Lamentations, the writer says, "Great is thy faithfulness, and all that I've ever needed thy hands hath provided. Had it not been for the mercies of God, we'd already be consumed." And so, God, we want to be grateful in all things, because, God, we know that you provide and you bless and you watch over us. And so, Lord, on this evening, there's many people in our town that we want to remember in prayer. God, we ask that you continue to bless and provide strength and comfort. Steve Haas and his family, Bob Reiser and Cynthia Burnley, Bud Causey, Reese Behringer, Ron Street, Bob Freeman, and probably a whole host of others, God, that I just don't know about. But Lord, that we know you're able, and you can do anything and everything but fail. And so, God, we ask that you guide this board meeting tonight, guide our deliberations. Ask that everything be done, God, to your glory and in your precious name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Ruth, who do you have to play?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Tom. All right, roll call. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vest,
Here.
Alderman Causey, Alderman Countermine,
Here.
Alderman Dixon,
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Here.
Okay. We'll move into our consent agenda. Alderman, is anything in the consent agenda you want to see removed? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Wolf,
Second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. Any comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon,
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, now we'll move into our financial report. Alderman, anything in there you got questions or comments about? I'll make a quick little comment that sales tax continues to be good. It's up about 10% that month. Considering inflation, that's probably right in line where it needs to be. And probably one of the best things in that in our financial report in our committee meetings was our building permits continue to be very, very strong. For the month of October, 44 permits, and that was versus only 19 the year before. So it's things are still healthy here in Jonesborough, and we need the revenue that comes from that. It's great to see our permit fees kind of falling in line with that type of growth. But it's great to see that healthy growth in Jonesborough. Alderman, any other questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion to approve from Alderman Dixon.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any other comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Dixon,
Aye.
Alderman Countermine,
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we'll move into communications from the mayor, and it's got several things here I just want to mention. One of those things in our consent agenda that we approved was our special event for the lighting of the tree in our Christmas parade. So we'll have our Christmas parade December 10th at 6 p.m. That's always a great time. Beautiful scenery down here at that time of night. And we also, the lighting of the trees is going to be November 26th at 6 o'clock as well. So make sure we all
Who's
attend.
in charge of the Christmas parade?
That'd be what?
That's
Rachel.
Rachel. There she is.
And tree lighting.
Very good.
Are we doing a alderman float? Hey, we need to do an alderman float.
Yeah,
You have to sing if you do. It's a music. The theme
It's
is music.
all great.
Listen, we can
Adam
do
can
that.
sing.
We can do
I'm
that.
do a
telling
trio.
you.
Listen, I'm all in favor. We can do Christmas carols or something.
That's right.
There's
And
some
you said 6
musically
p.m.?
inclined aldermen here.
You gonna let me pull the float?
We want a horse, don't you? Did I say that out loud?
Yes. Cannot strike it from the record either.
Now, I think Adam's just excited about that because he doesn't want to climb back up on top of that fire truck there.
Yeah, from last-
He and I got up there last year,
That's
just about
last
to
year.
get off.
We need to have on Santa beards and sing. That's exactly what we need to do.
I want an elf suit.
Well,
And some other good things is I've driven down there and Shell Road's looking good. We got that project, I guess, 95% complete. Just got a little fill in a little bit of dirt behind our curbs, but looking great down there. So we appreciate the work Craig and his team down there, and also the county doing their part as well. It's exciting to see that project get complete. And Craig, you mind giving us a little quick update on the sidewalks? We had some people ask about that. I know we're looking to rebid that, I believe, because the costs have increased so much, right?
Yes, sir. From the time the project was bid until they were able to get the easements signed, the drainage designed, concretes went from, it's almost doubled. It's depending on the day, it's anywhere from $170 to $200 a square yard. And when we bid this project out, it was less than $100 a square yard. So no way that contractor, we could ask, he's not going to eat that cost. And if you look at our bid, it basically stated those costs would be, or the bid would be good for 60 days. So we will be rebidding that project tomorrow to bring back to the board in December at their board meeting, and hopefully, weather permitting, with the easements we have in place now, that whomever is awarded the contract at that point would be able to start almost immediately.
Have we got all the easements and have we got all the plans finalized?
I am meeting with Malcolm and with the engineer tomorrow afternoon to go over those plans one final time, to make sure everything is in order, that we can send that out when we send the bid out tomorrow.
But you think it's pretty much right
Yeah,
at it?
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes.
And have we got all the easements signed?
I think all but one that they had.
They're all but two,
Okay.
but they both have absentee owners in New York. We have not been able to. We've gotten a response from one, but he can't sign by himself, and we can't. He's not been able to make any headway on getting that resolved. But this morning we sat down, and Mr. Rosenoff had talked with Todd, and we sat down this morning and decided we could utilize a workaround, essentially stay on our right away, and we're going to have to reconnect the driveway at least with some gravel or something. There'll probably be a drop off, but we're going to try to do that and stay on the right of way as much as possible. And we could, if we had to, we could go back and condemn if there's anything that does get on their property. If it came down to it, that would be a last resort, of course. But in order to not have it delay, and again, I would say that we've said from the beginning we'd start on either end, and we work these things out where we had 3 or 4, all of them but those 2, and we found the workaround. And just so you're aware, we are going to be moving forward without those easements, but we feel like that we can do that and minimize the risk to the
Great
town.
news.
All right, very good. Appreciate that, Craig. I think once we got into that, we learned we had a lot more absentee owners, I guess, around here, and a lot of those properties were rental properties, so it was a chore to get everybody to sign that. We appreciate Rachel and everybody else that's got out there and got those easements, and that was something that just had to be done. All right, next item is some committee appointments. Alderman, on the Historic Zoning Commission, we got Susan Fowler with her family situation. She's traveling more, and she's sent her resignation in, and Zach and I talked about who to appoint there. We both kind of agreed on Aaron Bible. So you see that there as a recommendation to the Historic Zoning. Flag Committee, we got Allison Wilkinson here. Her and Ruth are going to be working together on our Flag Committee. And also on our Traffic Advisory Committee, Virginia is going to step aside with the issues that she unfortunately has now, and we'll look to appoint Kelly to that position of Virginia's. So if you would, I appreciate a motion to approve these recommendations.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
I'll second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Just got two more things right here, and I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of folks last week that had moved to our area, and they'd been involved in getting license plates made for fallen police officers and in other states, and they live here now, and they're wanting to kind of get a honor the fallen license tag for police officers, and the state's approved to do this. They've got to get 1,000 orders, which is something they have to do through the state for any license plate. But this is something they're trying to get going here in the state of Tennessee, and I know I'm going to order myself one. It's $35, so we're going to post this on the website. So you got an email address down here and a phone number for Liz White Dibb, who was kind of leading this, her and her husband. Her husband was an officer out in California, was killed in the line of duty, and that's kind of what has been her calling. So anything you can do to kind of help promote that, and when you see this on our website or anywhere around town, sign up. $35 for a great cause, and You pass that down to Glenn. We'll put that on the website. All right, Employee of the Month. We got Sergeant Jonathan Peace here for that. Come on down. I tell you, there's one thing we get a lot of compliments about, and that's our public safety teams here, whether it's fire, certainly our police. So you're a good example of that. Let me read what Matt turned in for you here. Sergeant Jonathan Peace has been with the Jonesborough Police Department for approximately 7.5 years. He has continuously proven himself and risen to the rank of sergeant, field training officer, and general department instructor. He has never ceased showing his knowledge, commitment, and dedication to the department and our community. On the afternoon of June 14th, 2022, Jonathan Peace responded to a motor vehicle accident called near the intersection of East Main Street and Fox Street in downtown Jonesborough. When Sergeant Peace arrived, Michael Daniels, one of the drivers, had been pulled from his vehicle unconscious and placed on the side of the road. It was quickly determined that Mr. Daniels was in cardiac arrest. Sergeant Peace immediately jumped into action, beginning CPR. He continued chest compressions as EMS personnel worked to assist in life-saving measures as well. Sergeant Peace continued these compressions in the blazing East Tennessee summer heat without complaint or ceasing in his efforts. When special medical equipment took over chest compressions on the patient, he helped with securing and moving the patient to a waiting ambulance. Sergeant Jonathan Peace saved Michael Daniels' life. Without his prompt response, calm composure, and level-headedness in an emergency, this incident would have ended very differently. After the patient was transported from the scene, Sergeant Peace continued with absolute professionalism to all parties involved in the accident. He was compassionate as he contacted the next of kin of Mr. Daniels. He was sympathetic in speaking with the other driver, Senator Stetler, who was visibly anxious given the circumstance. Sergeant Peace exemplified the definition of serving his community. He contacted the hospital to check on his welfare the following day. The Jonesborough Police Department Life Saving Award is given to those who go beyond to save a life. Jonathan Peace is one of those people. We are pleased to recommend Jonathan Peace as a recipient of a Life Saving Recommendation and now Employee of the Month. We appreciate it.
Most definitely. There was things that stand up in my mind that day of lots of people involved in that whole incident. Chief Ross was right in the middle of it with us also. He's, in my opinion, he's just as instrumental in the whole incident as everybody else. He was doing chest impressions too, so I don't want him to go unrecognized as well. He had just as much of a hand in that as well. Miss Stelter, who was hit in it was a small crash, but she, I think, as from the community, I understand she's a school teacher. Huge instrument in him being alive today. Doing great quality CPR on that on Mr. Daniels there. In my opinion, without Miss Stelter doing that, I don't think Mr. Daniels would have been still driving around today. Actually just saw him driving that same vehicle.
Oh, really?
Real. Let's see, storytelling. I was there on my post and saw him drive by. And I was like, hey, that's pretty awesome.
That's good.
It's pretty rare that you actually get to see that. That person just a few months later. And so Stelter, hopefully if she gets to see this, that she'd be recognized for her actions in that as well. But also the other thing that stood out to me is the community. I think it was around about mid-90s that day. Had puddles of sweat in some of my sunglasses. But other things that stood out to me is the people working at the businesses down there. I look out and there's a sea of bottles of water out there waiting for all the other personnel, police, fire, pitched in on this one. So to everybody that was involved in the community, kudos to them, EMS guys. So it's all around good work by everybody up here.
Very good. That's what it takes to save a life. We appreciate you and Chief Rice and everyone involved. Thank you so much. Substitute plaque, but just hold on to that there, and we'll get you. Donna will get you the correct one here soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll leave that back to
We can end the meeting on that one right now. She won again? You won again?
I remember when that happened. That was pretty big news. I guess on social media, I mean, a lot of people, wondering what happened to that gentleman. So it was good news that he survived. And tell you what, we certainly appreciate everything there. So
Was he not at the beach recently, or what's the story on that?
He was, I think it was about 2 months out from leaving the hospital. He was at the beach with his brother. Picture of him and his brother sitting on the beach together. So it's rare.
Yeah.
That people actually get to make it out from a situation.
That's great.
That's good. But I had been able to speak to him, so I guess that's good. It was nice to see him drive by.
all right. Well, thank you all. All right. Now we'll move into citizens' comments. If a citizen lives here in the town of Jonesborough, is one of our water customers, you're welcome to get up and speak. Anyone here to speak to the board? Yes. Carol, if you would, just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Well, I'm Carol Salinas. I live at 303 West Main Street.
You better be tall if you're going to reach up there.
About 3 years ago, before COVID, I brought to the attention the street light across from my house was out, and it was out for something like 16 months before it was ever put back and lit. And I think it was right at the point where Johnson City Power Board was changing over to Bright Ridge, and neither one of them took any interest in it getting. But anyway, it was finally fixed. It's back doing the same thing again. It comes on, is on for a few minutes, goes off, comes back with a glow, goes off. And I've called the Bright Ridge twice now, and the first time I held, I know, for 30 minutes on my cell phone. There went my minutes. And finally had to leave a message. Nobody called me back. The next time I called, I did talk to a gentleman, and he said, oh, well, we'll have to see whether this is a Bright Ridge light or the town light. And I haven't heard anything else. And I'm so concerned because here we are going into the Christmas parade, and it's a night parade, December the 10th. And I really think those lights all ought to be lit.
Yeah.
What's your address again?
303 West Main.
Yeah, we actually had me and Craig had a little conversation about some street lights and stuff. So they keep records of that, and it's a slow process, unfortunately, sometimes. But
There's another one that's doing the same thing that I reported the other day. Is I think it's on Washington. It's it comes on and looks like it's right done, and then it goes back off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I drove in the other night. It was on. By the time I got the car in the garage, and the garage door shut, walking back to the house, it went off. The next time, it came on just as I put the car in the garage.
We'll follow
So-
up with yours and that other one that's similar.
So I just thought, particularly because I think we had 2 Christmas parades that light did not work right.
yeah.
I think it was all right last year, but the true power ones, I don't think worked. The other thing I want to mention, I think Ruth will go along with me, is JAMA is having its annual fundraising concert at Trinity on December the 1st at 6 o'clock for anybody that, the church choirs, I don't know how many choirs are involved, or somebody else is gonna talk about it, I don't know. But this is a major fundraising for the Gemma Food Bank for the town. So that's something that I think, everybody at least ought to know about it. And it's at 6 o'clock also.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Carol. Anyone else? All right, very good. Now we'll move into Alderman Communications. Alderman, anything you want to share? Terry?
The trees look great.
They do, don't they? I tell you, I love that candy cane tree. I think our tourism and park and rec department did well working with that vendor, but it looks great down through town.
And even with the bad weather, the event this weekend,
Yeah,
couldn't find any place to park, so there were a lot of people there.
yeah. Very good. Anything to share, Adam?
Sir, you've already mentioned Shell Road.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Craig and town staff, just really, really appreciative. I think a lot of the folks along Shell Road are pleased. Yeah, so really good work.
You know about what the bad thing is? Now it's going to be so smooth, everybody's going to be speeding, and you're going back here in a year wanting a speed bump down there.
Those have actually already been approved.
I've been avoiding
Thank you.
Tammy for about 6 months. I can now say hello again.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thank you. Kelly?
Well, thank you for recognizing me. So kind. I'd like to say thank you to the County Highway Department for what they continue to do for us, with us and for us. It's a great relationship. It's one that helps kind of supplement one of our needs. And they have certainly the physical crew, the asphalt plant, the trucks and whatnot. And we've talked with them about working with us on the school project as well come spring. So when you see community cooperation in terms of the county working with the town, it's a very big deal, and we're certainly very thankful for that. We have roads that get paved every year thanks to the county crew as well. So it's not just one or two things; it's an ongoing relationship, which is a very big deal.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. All right, we'll move into town attorney comments. Jim, anything to share?
Mayor, I need to give a report to you all tonight on the Beals litigation of ordinance violations, but I think we need to do that in executive session.
Okay.
If we could do that at the end of the meeting. I do not think you'll be coming out to take any action, but we probably need to leave the meeting open in case you do want to come out and discuss it after we meet in executive session.
All right, sounds good. Now we're going to move straight into new business. First item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning approval of a resolution in support of a public entity partners driver's safety grant. That's a little $4,000 grant there. I think our Chief Fritz is wanting to seek. Alderman, any questions or comments about that? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any other questions? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Countermine,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning approval of a resolution adopting new water tap fees and services for the Town of Jonesborough Water Distribution Center. Certainly appreciate Kevin Brobeck working on this, and it's another good example of getting our fees in line with what our costs are. We did some of that the last couple of meetings, and this is certainly something of that, trying to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Alderman, you got any questions or comments about this?
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
I'll second.
Got a second from Alderman Dixon. Any comments?
Mayor, may I add a comment?
Yes.
With Alderman Causey not here. I had an earlier conversation with her on this subject matter. The one comment she provided was whether or not we do the increase all at one time, or do we do a gradual increase, basically breaking it up in two different phases, whether it be $250 now and $250 later. So I just wanted to give her comment.
Okay. Alderman, you got any comments about that? You know, mine will be, we're probably better off just doing it all at one time. Our costs come all at once. We're probably still not, recouping all of our expenses, so this is kind of a partial move.
And it's been a long time since we raised any of it.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, call for the vote, please.
Alderman Cattermole?
Aye.
Alderman Dixon?
Aye.
Alderman Wolf? Pass.
All right. Motion carried. Next item on our agenda is discussion and possible action concerning the adoption of the Jonesborough Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Appreciate everybody's work on this. I know Rachel played a big part in that and getting feedback from our community, so appreciate that. One of the things I was looking, when I was reading through this, and one thing we can't forget about is whenever that school is done, one of the agreements we had is that we're going to be able to take over and use the football field at the Jonesborough Middle School. We have responsibility for that, and there's some things we can do to that, improve it and turn it into much more than what it is today. So we need to keep that in our thoughts. Alderman, you got any comments about the master plan?
Mayor, I'd like to say just a couple of things. Really appreciate Rachel Conger in stewarding this process and putting this document together. And as you saw in the write-up, I was able to play a part in the discussions, and it was a very healthy, constructive conversation about the future of our park plan. And it's really exciting to think about where the town of Jonesborough is and where the town of Jonesborough is going. And I think this document just really, gives us a very full picture of where we are and what the plan looks like. I also, again, I had some comments, and it's in the write-up, but just thinking, going back over it, preparation for the meeting tonight, a couple things just really stand out to me is the partnership that we have, of course, currently with the county, and then how that partnership can build, and in particular the county school system. Just thinking about the fact that, we have Wetlands Water Park, and over the summer a lot of students, I would say from David Crockett High School, work there over the summer. And this plan talks about the fact that the beautifying of our parks is something that we need to think about and we need to be on top of. And I think that the plan even alluded to the fact that students could be valuable and helpful in beautifying the parks, mulching and doing different things. And that to me is just, when we think about student volunteer hours, that could be a very easy and healthy way to utilize students, help them with their volunteer hours, but also do something for the good of the town. It also stands out to me that we talked a lot in our conversation with the Park Advisory Committee about the role of child care and after-school programming. And it may be a little ambitious, but the thought does come to my mind about really top-tier high schoolers working with, say, our arts programming. So if you had, say, juniors and seniors working with, say, 3rd, 4th, 5th graders in whether it be our arts-related programming or such, we've proven that we can do this in terms of really top-notch high school students working at the water park. And they work with young people over the course of the summer. So you really think about it, it could be a really innovative relationship working with the school system. You're paying young people, you're giving them a work ethic, and they're working with our young people. And the best place, in my mind, for something like this to happen is at the Ag Center. Yeah. I mean, really good high schoolers in the FFA program working with younger kids. It just seems like there's such rich opportunities, and it all falls under Parks and Rec. So it just excites me. And just really appreciative for you putting this document together, and really glad to be a part of it.
Very good, Adam. Yeah, I think when we start talking about the Ag Center and all the other things, we always think about these agreements we got with the county that we'd be working with, say, Jonesborough locally grown to work with that, but not thinking about the young people at Crockett that could come in and help. And even in the theatrical aspect of our school, we think about the Jonesborough Repertory Theater, but there's also good programs there at Crockett to get students involved. So could be a great synergy years to come. So
I'd like to say something, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Part of this report highlights the fact that 85% of our participation in athletic activity comes from kids that don't live in the town of Jonesborough, which is great. It's wonderful. We want to be a vibrant part of the community that doesn't have a bearing necessarily on where the city limit line is. I do think it's important to highlight, in lieu of the Jonesborough school deal that we inked with the county, that one thing that might not have been discussed as much as it should have been was that the $500,000 a year we'll have for our Park and Rec department from the county as a result of that deal is something that will help us enhance the experience of the 85% of the kids in our Park and Rec program athletics that don't live in the town of Jonesborough. And I think that's a 10-year deal. I think it would behoove the county and the town to talk about how that cooperation can continue to exist after that 10 years, because we're feeling a vital need for the kids of Washington County, as is Johnson City, where they have their Park and Rec program. So it's kids don't and participating in sports programs don't know city limit boundaries, and we're happy with that. We're the county seat, the oldest town in the state, and a proud partner with all those kids at many different schools. But it's important that I think we discuss the fact that the funding we're receiving from Washington County will go to help those kids, and that we'd like to see that relationship continue after the Jonesborough School 10-year term on the money runs out.
Thank you, Kelly. Very, very good point. And you look back at, as long as we've had an athletic program or a Little League program, it used to be right here, I guess. Duncan Meadows was where I played back in the day. And so there's always been that component of county kids up here playing with Jonesboro kids, because our town limits is, I won't say exploded. It's always been small, but it was really small back then. And but there's always been that cooperation between the county and the town. But the town's always gladly offered those services because we've got a great Park and Rec department. And Kelly's exactly right. Those funds, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to get involved in that whole school project. Is one of the reasons is just to be able to improve our Park and Rec offerings. And we got Persimmon Ridge Park down there. That's a beautiful facility, but it's dated, and a lot of those funds were expected to kind of go down there and lift that facility so these county kids can continue to use first-class facilities, because in some ways we will be competing against Johnson City, and we want to make sure we hold up our end of the bargain. So appreciate that, Kelly and Adam. Anything else? One thing is in the recommendation there, it's a great recommendation. It's just where it says it includes establishing an advisory committee. Just Glenn, you got a note down there about that. Put some thought into that and bring that back possibly in December. My thought there is, do we need to establish another committee when we got a committee? And maybe the BMA needs to be the one looking through the master plan and setting priorities.
I think, Mayor, overall, if we've talked about our roads, our sidewalks, our parks, our beautification, public facilities. So overall, whether it be a park, another advisory committee, or really the future would be a comprehensive land use and facilities plan, and some of these components would be complementary to that comprehensive plan. So maybe it's a combination of not just focusing on Parks and Rec, perhaps it's more of a comprehensive planning advisory committee that has tasks with different elements of what would be a eventual long-range plan. Might be a better idea, or and I can present some idea before the next meeting.
Okay. All right, Auburn, you can see the recommendation there, and it is something to look at coming back in December and thinking more about that advisory committee. Any questions or comments about that? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine and a second from Alderman Wolf.
Sure.
Any questions or comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we'll move into discussion and possible action concerning approval of the project manager employment agreement. That's a valuable position. It has been for a couple of years now with Mr. Browning, and working on probably two of the most important projects the town of Jonesborough's had, and that's our school project and the Jackson Theater, and actually Lincoln Park as well. And he's done an outstanding job at that. And what's happening at the school project is just amazing. What his involvement there and how it's making that project so much better. And I think just Alban, you can see there the comments about how to fund that additional $30,000, and I guess that makes sense to me. In the write-up there, it talked about adding $30,000 in the general fund to cover the half of Mr. Browning's salary, but not really adding, right, Glenn? Because we have a way to
Reallocate.
Yeah, it's more about just moving some money to cover that.
But both Mr. Anderson and myself have been talking about budget amendments, where we normally wait till, or historically we've been waiting till the end of the year to do so, for us to bring back some of these. Like this would be one of those to where, we're looking at funding an additional $30,000, but at the same time that's a budget amendment to increase that line item in the budget. But there's also line items in the budget right now that we know from salaries that could be reduced to leverage that or balance that budget. So
Right.
the idea would be to come back with a kind of like, well, we're adding here a debit, but then there's a credit, and bringing that back. We could do that by next meeting. There might be some other budget amendments that we would consider as well, but there is funding to do this plan.
But realizing that next year we'd have to find that money somewhere else.
Correct. The last memo it'll be sent out to the board probably tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm looking it over again, but it looks like with progress meetings with the Jackson, with GRC on the Jackson, at least the Jackson project looks like if all goes great, which means lead time on materials, then it looks like June of 2023, or if there was a little bit of delays, then potentially September of 2023 was the last report I got from Mr. Browning. And then of course the school is somewhere along that era as well, that time period, a little bit after that. Sometime in November is what the projection is.
Right.
So there's those, unfortunately, you don't want to say that Jackson and the school kind of line up, but they're pretty close to it as far as progress.
So there'll be a little bit of continuation into the next
There will
next
be.
budget year, but possibly not.
And like every other project, there's residual parts to the project that we're dealing with 30, 60, 90 days afterwards. So, that's assuming that everything goes perfect. So we haven't been really planning for perfect things. So we plan for contingencies.
That's
So.
what
good.
to do with it.
Kelly, do you have a comment about that?
No, I just wanted to make sure that even though you're bringing, I don't know how you ended up terming that. I'll call it an amendment next month, but we're still good with going ahead and making this move.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Very good. Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
I'll second.
Second from Alderman Dixon. Any comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
All right, motion carried. Last item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning approval of the town attorney employment agreement. And we've got to make sure we keep Jim down there at the end of the table. Does a great job for the town of Jonesborough. Alban, you got any questions or comments?
Move to
Well,
approve.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine. Kelly?
I'll second, but I had a question.
Okay.
2.5% doesn't meet the rate of inflation. Is that enough?
Well, we want to keep y'all at a discount off our normal hourly rate, so we'll take that.
But that's each year. That's per year, not just from the last time, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But,
saying though. Is that?
I think I used the word reasonable several times.
Well, that's because we're in the easy line.
I think Mr. Wheeler might object to
You
that.
bet yourself.
It did say an interesting play, right?
Well, I think the rate went down when Bob Browning retired. Then Kelly was no longer mayor. That eliminated a lot of phone calls.
All I know when I first met Jim when I first came on 2.5 years ago, his hair was jet black. So
2.5 years ago.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Calderon,
Aye.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried, and that's a wrap. Oh, we got to go back and meet in executive session with Jim. There's a possibility we might come back out for that.
Unwrap it.
So, meeting is actually back open.